question. Define the terms of your NDA. You want to define the terms of your NDA?
If it's not public knowledge, I can't talk about it.
If it's not public knowledge, he can't talk about it.
So if we haven't shown it off in a trailer, if Todd Howard hasn't gone out on an interview and talked about it, if it's not on our blogs, I probably can't talk about it. If it's like in the game and it's like something that people just want to know about, like that it's in the game, it exists, people can go see it, that's fine. But like, yeah, if it's not public knowledge or whatever,
Okay.
probably can't say anything.
Can he talk about his room? Can you talk about your room? It's blurred out.
My
You can't
room?
talk about his room either. There's some hidden Bethesda Easter eggs in there.
It's just called being a mess. It's
I feel that. It's okay.
it's just not an interesting background. So
You guys can only see this side, but if you saw the other side, I'm a little mad.
that's how you do it.
Yes, sir. But yeah, we'll wait here real quick. My 4 p.m. notification will get sent out, and then we get started. And by the way, the first GPU that we'll give away is a... Wait, hold on. I have the name here, actually. A GeForce 3060 Ti FTW3. I don't really know what the FTW3 is about. I don't know what it's about. I don't know the difference in these GPUs. TBH. Alright, but people should start rolling in here soon now. So, I'll wait for that so we can introduce my boy Rick here. Ricardo Reyes. A. Reyes. What's the A for, by the way? Forget. What's your middle name?
Andres.
Andres. Your middle name's Andres?
It is.
I can't believe I didn't know that. Andres. Okay.
You're Hispanic.
Do you hate... Super Hispanic. Do you hate when people call you Andres?
I don't think anyone's ever called me that. No.
I don't even think I've ever heard your family call you that.
No, nobody does. I think only like my mom has called me that when she's really mad. She uses the full name, you know?
Ricardo Reyes. Ven aquí.
Yeah, that's how you know you messed up. Like it's over. You're done.
Alright, there's a quick ad. We'll be right back after these ads. There you go. Alright, damn, how many ads? I think, Twitch recently, increased the number of ads that you need to put unless you have a deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me see, give me a second. There you go. Ads almost done. But we'll start off, sorry, people can roll in when they roll in. We'll start off with, just getting to know Rick and what he does, because I don't think a lot of people, before... If I didn't know you, I wouldn't know what a game capture artist is, and I didn't even think it was like a role that existed. And
that's fair. Yeah, it's a fairly newer position, I would say. Newer as in the last 5 or so years, it's really grown a lot. And I think studios are starting to realize that it's nice to have someone who specializes in this. And then, yeah, same here. When I started doing this, I was like, that's a thing. People are gonna pay me to do this. I didn't realize it was a job. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Full-fledged job. How you doing,
Yeah.
Jerry? The Jerry Unchained. Okay, cool name. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're getting started here by, like I said, getting to know Rick and what he does. And again, what he does is a game capture artist for Bethesda, and it's been a long road, right, for you so far. So we'll talk about how he got to where he is, but before that, just a little bit of fun, couple ice-breaking questions for my boy here. So we'll get started. If you had to choose one video game to take with you on an island, what would it be?
Oof.
One game.
So I'm on an island. So I guess it would have to be something that I can play for a long time, right? You don't want to get bored if you're stuck on an island, so it can't be my favorite game.
That's it. Let's say you got stuck on an island, but there's a military complex there, and they have TV and endless energy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. But I'm still stuck on the island, so I want a game that's long term. I'd probably pick something like Minecraft or Project Zomboid, something that I can just play forever and just it'll keep being fun. And also I think those games will keep your survival instincts going. You're always building stuff.
Okay.
You gotta survive somehow.
I think Minecraft is a pretty solid choice, actually. You literally can't get bored.
Exactly. There's always something to do about it.
I never thought about that, Okay. All right, next. Who is your favorite video game NC and why?
Ooh, main character. Probably I'm gonna have to go with like Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
Commander Shepard.
Oath. If you go Paragon, if you go Renegade, Shepard is just a badass all around. But he has a lot of compassion. There's a lot of duty. Like he's just a very cool character. Like the beginning of Mass Effect 2 is awesome. And then I just love Mass Effect. The world, the gameplay, like the sense of adventure. Plus, who doesn't love a guy who just stops the bad guy from monologuing by just blowing him up? Best Renegade ever.
Is that something that happens in the game? I've actually never played.
Yeah. If you go Renegade, you can. There's a guy who's talking, and you just stop him from talking by blowing him up, and you skip the whole fight. He's just dead.
A friend of mine lent me Mass Effect 3. I played it. I put it on my Xbox for like maybe 5 minutes. Saw the graphics, and I was like, I can't.
Legendary Edition came out a couple years ago, which is all 3 games remastered, and I think it's a very good. It's great value, and I love those games. I come back to them every couple years. Good stuff.
Maybe eventually I'll give it a try, but I don't know. I just like. I'll just play Halo. Isn't as like. Aliens.
It's not the same. Okay, all right.
I'm kidding.
All right. Maybe I don't know about Mass Effect 1, but I think you would really enjoy in 2. You can be a Vanguard, so you literally like shoulder check people and they just explode because you like teleport to them, and it's really fun. And you just run in with shotguns and you have a good time. That's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Okay. Also, I don't think the notification got. Oh, it did get sent out. Let's go. All right, bet. And then the last question. Yo, thank you for the follow. Do you remember your first gamer tag ever, and where did it come from?
Oh, I do.
What's up, everybody?
I remember sitting in my living room, hooking up my Xbox with like a really long Ethernet cord just to like get on Xbox Live for the first time. And I just sat there for so long because I'm like, this is permanent. I can't change this. I need it to be something that's like unique or whatever. So I came up with Prince of Me because I wanted a name that was not taken and it had no numbers in it. Because I was like, I don't want to be like, like Rick whatever 1 2 3 4 5 or
calling me out. My
like
first username was Elite Recon 48.
There you go. So I didn't want that. So I'm like, I want something that's not taken. I see a lot of people like put King in their name or whatever. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna be Prince, the Prince of nothing, just the Prince of myself. Okay. And so that's how Prince of Me was born, and I used that forever, and then
I have
switched that up to that.
Yeah. All right, we'll do one more question, and then after this question, we'll do the first GPU, and after that, we'll get into what game capture artist is. So last little fun bit here. Fuck, marry, kill.
Oh boy.
And I got you with Chun-Li, Cortana, or Samus Aran. You can pick a zero suit if you'd like.
I mean, eventually, right? She'd have to be.
Eventually.
These are tough.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go with kill Cortana because she goes crazy. She goes crazy eventually.
She does,
and I don't want to deal with that.
A smart man.
And then marry Chun, I guess.
I knew you as a Street Fighter.
You gotta. Yes. I'm a Street Fighter, and Chun's just she's classic.
Yeah,
everybody loves it.
Okay, all right.
So I just think Samus,
I feel that. That's a great choice. All right, and then for our first GPU, for everybody that's joining in, welcome. I'm just gonna describe the game. I'm gonna describe a game, and then you guys are gonna guess it. When I'm done describing the game, I'll say go, and then the first person to type in chat the name of the game that you think it is, that's the person who wins. Not any seconds sooner, or it won't count. All right. So I'll describe the game real quick, and then you guys take a quick guess. And then the first GPU to go is a 3060. Let me see, a 3060. I just said it. TI FTW3. So let's get it rolling. So this is the first game. All right. So in this game, players dive in a world with a futuristic setting characterized by a complex and compelling mixture of high technology, ancient mythology, and interstellar warfare. Gamers take on the role of commanders leading diverse and intricate armies, each with its own distinctive traits and units. Within this expansive and detailed world, players engage in strategic battles on tabletops, relying on the careful planning and execution of tactics. The game's lore encompasses a multitude of factions, each with its own unique backstory, goals, abilities, leading to a rich and immersive gaming experience. This game lore extends beyond the tabletop, encompassing novels, video games, and a dedicated fan community. Alright, go. First guesses, let's go. You guys guess what game it is? If nobody can guess it, I'll give you a hint. Alright? But you guys can start guessing. You get unlimited guesses. It's just whoever goes first. Stevie Joe 66 said Traveler. No, not Traveler. Vague of the Vagueness. Vague of the Vagueness? It is. It's just the oh, you're saying I'm being vague? Here, I'll give you guys the hint. There is an actor who really wants to be in this movie. And I believe he is going to be in the movie. And it's coming soon. There's a couple games, there's a game coming out soon too for it. Yeah, you're still guessing. No, you go. You can guess now, Monkey. I said go. It's supposed to be Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. Is that a game? That's not a game. All right, here. I'll even say the name of the actor. You're gonna get it immediately after I say the name of the actor. All right, so ready? Official tabletop game? I believe so. Maybe.
It is a tabletop game first and foremost before it was a video game.
Exactly. Real-time strategy. Well, it is a real-time strategy game, but Henry Cavill, that is the actor that is going to be, I believe, is going to be in this movie. So that's an easy one. No one. Damn. No one's getting it. Was I too vague? You think I was too vague?
Yeah. You want a better hint? I think people will get it really close.
Okay, do a better hint.
People consider Event Horizon to be an unofficial prologue to this series.
There you go. Event Horizon.
Fun movie.
Yeah, it was a lot scarier than I thought it would be. I'm not gonna lie.
You thought so?
I thought it would just be like fun, stupid, sort of. It was messed me up a little bit.
You're going to hell. It's great.
All right, no one seems to be guessing it, bro. What is this? All right, what is another hit? Let's see. It looks like Gears of War. All right, in the trailer that just came out, it literally looks like Gears of War. And I believe some of the Gears of War devs actually are working on this game. I think so. All right. It's too hard. Maybe too vague. I'll just say it, and if I say it, nobody wins it, and you'll have to wait for the next one. All right? I'm going to give like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starfield?
No.
That'd be too easy. No, it was not Starfield. It was Warhammer 4K. I feel like the 40K, the ancient mythology part, the Henry Cavill, I feel like those are pretty good hints.
Henry Cavill does love 40K.
He does love it. All right, that's fine. Well, you guys will have other shots. You have 2 more shots. All right, so let's go with the actual bit where we find out what you do. So let's get started. What would you say inspired you to pursue a career in game and development, and how'd you get into the industry?
I think it's a pretty basic story for a lot of game developers. I mean, I've always loved video games. I mean, I started playing them when I was 5. I remember getting an N64 for Christmas, and it was like the only thing I wanted that year. And got Mario Party, and I just never put it down since. There's a lot of artistry in games, and I've always been drawn to art and animation and things like that. So I kind of always knew I wanted to be in game development, but I didn't really know what that meant as a kid. And then as you get older, you start realizing like, oh, there's like programming and there's art and animation and all these things come together. And so from there, I was always very like focused on that, and I knew I wanted to work in video games. And then from there, I went to animation. So I went to school for animation.
Wholesale.
Yeah.
Right.
I did, yeah. So I went to school for computer animation, learned the full pipeline, was a generalist for a while. I taught animation for a while as well.
Taught animation?
Games. I did, yeah, for a bit.
Where'd you teach? I didn't know that.
It was like for younger kids to get them into like the industry. So I taught like 2D and 3D animation. in Orlando. It was like an after-school program. It was called like Elite Animation Academy. So it was really fun. Kids are very into art, so it's nice to like help guide them in a way. I worked on some indie projects. I worked on some commercial projects, and then eventually I shifted from animation to capture when I got a position working on Madden at EA, and that sort of is where I opened the door to capture, and I realized that was like a career option, and that led to where I am now.
Awesome. Well, so you explored a bit then before you. How many years would you say you? How long did that exploration take? Like from that to like.
I focused on animation for about 4 years, I think. So 2015 to 2019. And then 2019 is when I shifted over to games capture, working on sports, and then eventually just working on games in general.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so in simple terms, can you tell us what a game capture artist is? Like the various tasks and roles you must take while you're making a game?
Yeah. So I guess like the simplest way to put it is a capture artist is someone who just plays a game really well, and you record that and you use that footage for trailers and things like that. But essentially, a capture artist is the person in charge of recording gameplay footage, capturing screenshots, creating cinematics and cinematic moments for trailers and social media posts, in-game videos, like whatever we might need it for. I'm the person who is actually grabbing the footage and playing the game and recording everything. We're in charge of like shot lists. We work with the brand teams, with editorial, to create, awesome trailers and just content for people so they can get excited about their games and showing off like cool mechanics. But more importantly, I think our job is to show players what it feels like to play a game. And that's kind of our goal. When you watch a trailer for a game, you get that feeling of like, okay, that's what it's going to feel like when I play the game. And you eventually do so.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like majority of the games that and the reason why I think pre-ordering is such a huge culture in gaming is like you see a trailer and like it just hypes you up. You see what it can be or what it can do, and like definitely an important task sort of overall in game development, because it's what draws people in. Like Battlefield. Yeah. But we'll talk about Battlefield 2042 too. But I think we were all pretty hyped when that game first came out, because what was the last game before that one? Battlefield 1, the old timey.
Yeah. Well, 5. It was 5. It was 1 and then 5, which was interesting. But yeah, definitely. I think DICE has a really good brand team, and they're very passionate about cinematics and creating trailers and stuff. I think they're some of the best in the industry, so it was really fun to work with them on Battlefield.
I guess we could do a couple quick questions while we talk. Some monkey says, do you follow a strict NDA when selecting videos and photos during?
It really depends on the game. Different teams want to show off their game differently. So, talking about Starfield now that it's been out for a while, we made sure to avoid certain mechanics in the game. We wanted players to figure that out for themselves when they first got their hands on the game. So like there's a faction called the Starborn. We never showed that during all of our marketing, and that was on purpose. We wanted players to get that like sense of wonder and be like, whoa, I didn't know that this was a thing in the game, and it's just like a whole nother layer. So it really depends on the team and like the creative directors and how much they want to show, and obviously you don't want to spoil players too much, so you want to give them enough that they can see what the game's about, but you don't want to make it, you don't want to give them too much, because then what's the point of playing the game?
Yeah, 100%. I feel that. Like, you can't give out too much. It's nice to be surprised in the middle of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So what would you say are some essential qualities for a game capture artist that needs to excel in the field? Like any specific knowledge areas, such as like encoding, streaming, or editing software, that any aspiring capture artist should focus on learning?
Yeah, I think all that stuff, working with videos in general is very important. I mean, capturing is not too different from like working on a movie set almost. Obviously, you're doing everything digitally instead of in person, but you tend to wear a lot of hats as a capture artist. So, you're not just a cameraman, but you're also the actor, and you're the director and the cinematographer, and you're in charge of the lighting of the shot. And, as far as knowledge goes, I think each capture artist sort of brings their own niche that they can fill for the team. So like some people are really good at the artistic aspect. They're very good at like creating choreography for a shot and the lighting and figuring out the best possible angle, which is a skill that everyone has, but obviously some focus on that a lot more. And then there's the more technical people. So they know a lot more about game engines and game development and creating tools that we use all the time to get capture, as well as, debug tools to help us get around the game quicker and just be better at our job. And then, when it comes to actually creating videos, learning about video encoding is super important so that you're recording the highest quality footage and the right type of color space and everything. Editing is important. Sometimes we do the first draft of an edit, so it's good to at least know the basics so you can kind of chop together a trailer and see if it works and if ideas are coming together. Knowing about cameras is really important, so like what kinds of depth of field there are and your field of view and different camera lenses. So there's a lot in this industry, I guess, but you take it one step at a time.
Technology to try to learn and put together.
Yeah.
So like, because you said you like stumble upon what with exploration into this role. So like, is there like can you go to school just for game capture, or like it's more like you go through the ringer and learn these sets of skills as you go on, and then studio will teach you the ropes on other aspects, and then that makes you a game capture artist? Or is that how it works? Or
I think is
it more linear in the
No. I think it's such a new career type that a lot of capture artists come from different backgrounds. So like I came from animation, so that's where I learned a lot about like cameras and camera positioning and motion, like rule of thirds, how to frame your shots. All of that came from my animation knowledge. And then I learned a bunch of other stuff. One, just because again, I love games, so I've always wanted to make games, so I know a lot about game engines and I know a lot about game development, but I learned a lot on the job. But there are people who like start out, they created machinimas a lot when those were really popular, and that transitions easily into game capture because that's essentially what you're doing. Like machinimas and creating trailers, they're very comparable skill sets. You're telling a story using a video game in a machinima, and that's what you're doing with a trailer. So some people come from that background, some people come from like just the video background. So we have a lot of editors who worked on like actual productions and film and stuff, and then you just take that knowledge and apply it to a video game, and it tends to work out that way. So I think there's a lot of backgrounds for people right now, and then once you get in it, you start to realize like, okay, I need to learn a little bit more about this part, or I need to learn more about that, and you build up that knowledge periodically and over time as you're doing it, especially if you're doing it on your own. A lot of capture artists are in photo mode all the time, or making their own little videos or edits or like GIFs and stuff on Twitter.
And the Jerian Chain said red versus blue Halo 3.
Dude, that's the epitome of capture. Like OG, now there's a lot more, they put a lot more animation into their stuff, but OG red versus blue, like that's the essence. I
remember what was the black the girl, she was in all black, what was her name, the one that was always beating everybody's ass?
Dude, I don't know. Was that like Halo 3 days? That's when they started doing like animation stuff, and it got really crazy, and they did a lot of motion capture and stuff, and it became a lot more cinematic at that point, which was really cool.
I thought the fight scenes were pretty crazy for back in the day.
Oh yes,
like that choreography was really good.
Yeah, I feel bad. I'm blanking on his name, but the animator they had, and he passed away, unfortunately, was one of the best. Like his videos on YouTube, he had a lot of like really crazy Halo fights, and he has like a Samus Aran one. Did a lot of the stuff for Ruby for them. Just very talented. So they had a really good team.
Okay. So now, can you like then walk me through the steps you take to capture high quality footage, like including resolution, frame rate, and setting adjustments when you're making these, high quality videos?
Yeah, of course. Obviously first things first is we take notes of like what we need. So, we're making a trailer. We probably want 4K footage. 60 frames per second is the standard now, so we try to go for 60. Unless we're going for something stylistic, some games like to go for 30 when they're showing them off, to give a more cinematic feel to it. If it's like a social media asset, then 4K might be overkill. We'll just do like 1080 because you can't have a Twitter video that's 4K anyways. So why?
I mean, there's there like a hardcore need for it, or is just like for it to look prettier?
Obviously you want the game to be as pretty as you can make it. So we usually shoot for 4K. But sometimes if 1080 is fine, we'll if we have 1080 footage, we'll use it and stuff like that. But then once you have an idea of what you're going for, you make a shot list, so you have an idea of like what each shot in your trailer is going to be, or your asset. And you're just trying to figure out where everything goes and how it's going to look. And then from there, it's all about loading up the game, setting up your shots, seeing what you need to get. Sometimes that means like trying to force AI to do specific things if you're doing a single player game. If it's multiplayer, that's where you start talking about choreography. So a lot of multiplayer capture is a bunch of people getting together and giving them roles and deciding like what the action's going to look like on scene, and then everyone is basically like a backup actor and just playing their part in the shot.
So do you guys have like and I might actually ask this question later, but I don't remember where it was. But is there someone then that's like responsible, sort of like in writing, you have like someone lays out like all the scenes? Like, is that a team effort, or like is there a specific person that in charge of like, this is how it's gonna play out and you stand over there and this and that? Like,
yeah, usually shots have like shot owners. So just like in a movie set, if you have like someone who's on set who's like in charge of the shots and stuff, and they'll tell everyone what to do. Usually that's like the lead is in charge. So they'll let you know like, okay, so the lead is the cameraman, which is also like your hero actor. So they'll be like, all right, I'm gonna be here. We're trying to show off, like, let's say you were doing Battlefield or Call of Duty. You're like, all right, we're showing off this new gun. We're gonna run through here. I'm gonna take out 3 of you guys. So you're gonna run out this door. You're gonna do this. You're gonna die. I'm gonna run past you. Like, I'll slide, kill the next guy. You guys are in the background fighting each other. You're gonna fly the helicopter this way, and you kind of build up your shot like actor by actor, and you start packing in all of that detail and making it as cool as you can. So that's multiplayer capture, at least.
Mm-hmm. Shot owner, that's an awesome title. Says it does sound like an awesome title. Shot owner. And then Monkey asked, is the footage captured in game photo mode of some sorts, or is it different software that you use?
Depends on what we have available. Generally, we use external recording devices. So there's a brand called Shogun. They make these like little monitors that can record. A lot of people that do it on their own use like Elgatos and stuff like that. So external recording devices are usually best, because if you're running a game that's like really intensive on your computer and you have all the settings cranked up, because obviously you want the game to look as good as it can, if you try to record on like OBS on top of that, you might strain your computer. But sometimes you can do that, so we'll use OBS if we can. But if not, yeah, we use like Shogun's. I personally have a Shogun Inferno that's really good, and that lets me record ProRes files, which means like the best possible color space, so that helps our editors, and I can review footage really quickly that way too.
Okay.
But if you're getting into it, you can use whatever. OBS is really good. When I do like stuff at home, I just use OBS.
Regular OBS, not slobs.
Nah, I just use OBS. I set a shortcut for like recording, like start recording and stop recording, and then I'll just do my own shots that way, and then I can review my footage right there at the same time.
I guess something I'm curious about is, you know how like you'll have maybe an action shot of like a soldier running or something like that, and then like there's like a camera angle below it, and how do you guys do that? Like, because like you can't, you don't have someone in there like rolling. Like, oh, is it? I don't know. Like, is that like a sort of coding tool that you put like a camera there that's recording gameplay? That's what I'm envisioning.
Every game is different. Some games have more tools than others. So like as a player, you might only have access to like a free cam. Maybe it's part of a mod or something. But sometimes we have development tools that give us like more flexibility with that. In those cases, if it's a multiplayer game, you have two options, right? You have one person who's the player and recording that view, and then someone else is a cameraman recording the second view. But if you're by yourself, then you run through it once as a player, and then you go back and then you run through it again with the special camera view. So you're just doing it multiple times, and then just like in a movie set, right? Like each time the camera cuts, it's not the same shot anymore. It's usually a different take. It's the same with a trailer. You tend to run through the takes multiple times to get the best possible shot.
Okay, that's cool. I was just trying to think of like how you guys were doing that, but all right. Well, how do you usually work with game designers, animators, and other team members to ensure that the captured moments align with the creative vision of the game, which is what you were on before? The importance of conveying what you want to show the players.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to show off the hard work that those developers are putting into their game. And so we want to make sure that we're sticking as close to what their vision of the game is. So we're always talking to developers to be like, hey, here's a shot. And if there's something wrong of like, hey, that enemy shouldn't show up here, or you shouldn't have access to that gun, or that ability doesn't work that way. We're always talking to them to make sure that we're representing the game as best as possible and as like, what the player is going to get their hands on. But also, we work close together with them to identify bugs. Generally, when you're doing capture work, it's a game that's still in development, so bugs are going to happen. So it's how much of a problem solver you can be to be like, hey, there's a bug that's blocking this shot. Do you have any workarounds? How do we work together? And then also, kind of like QA being like, hey, this doesn't work. How can we fix it? And then working with them to like get it fixed, and then we can show it off in the best possible light.
Okay, so I imagine a lot of collaborative sort of meetings back to back.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, it's usually a lot of like one-on-ones with people of like, hey, there's an animation bug. You just reach out to an animator, talk to them directly and see how you can fix it or why it's breaking. Maybe sometimes it's something you did, because we're breaking the game all the time to like skip ahead. Like if you're playing a game and you're like, I want to get a shot of the third level, we usually skip to that instead of play through the whole game to get there. And sometimes that breaks the game. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, you never know. So it's always good to talk to them and make sure that everything's working the way it should.
Sometimes can be good. Sometimes can be shit. Okay.
Exactly.
And real quick, thank you for the anonymous sub gifter for gifting all those subs. Appreciate you very much. Ghost, we do have a question like that coming up later, so don't worry, it'll be answered. All right. So what are your favorite types of games to capture, and why do you enjoy working with them? And I know you sent me a lot of couple of YouTube videos on some Battlefield trailers. We'll look into that when we start talking about Battlefield. But yeah, just want to know what do you.
Yeah. So as I mentioned a little bit, like you can split capture broadly into like single player games and multiplayer games for capture. Like both have a lot of challenges that you try to overcome, but they're both really fun. So like, for example, like I love multiplayer because of the choreography that we were talking about, like working together with people and trying to come up with a badass idea. And you're like, all right, this shot, we're going to go full John Wick. Like I'm going to slide into this room and break through the glass, and you get to really show off your skills that way. And
creativity too.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's super creative, and just be like, how can I show off these weapons besides just walk into a room and click on a bunch of heads? Like, how can I make it feel dynamic and cinematic, but still show people like what this is gonna look like when they use it? And then with single player, you have a lot more control of like, we're gonna go to this level, we're gonna use this loadout, this gear. We're going to have the enemies placed like this around the room, and then we're just going to run through the shot. And you have to deal with the AI at that point. They do whatever they want, so you're kind of like ad-libbing at certain points, which is a lot of fun.
So single player can be a little, well, when you're recording single player game capture, I'm assuming that's a little more rigid than in nature, like in terms of what you can
you get a lot debug commands, so you get a lot more variables to play with. So like if you want to change the amount of damage that you're doing or the time of day or certain things, it's a lot easier in single player because you don't have to deal with like servers and other players, and you get to run through shots a lot quicker because it's just you in the game. So you can do a lot of iterations and changes and stuff really quickly. Whereas with multiplayer, if you want to move one guy, then you gotta be like, all right, you need to move here now, and then tell them their exact spot, and then be like, all right, this is your new path, this is what you're doing, this is how you're gonna do it, and that takes time.
But it's much
I would
fun.
say though, yeah, it is. It's a lot more collaborative, and again, it's like being on a movie set, and you're kind of riffing things and changing things as you need to, like on the fly. I would say I really enjoy single player though. You can be really cinematic with things and cinematic with shots and just show off like the beauty of games, especially nowadays. Like games are gorgeous, so it's really fun to just get really cinematic.
I agreed. That's why I'll be pre-ordering. It looks pretty. Pre-order. Ghost Frosty asks, what's your favorite quest in Starfield?
Oh, my favorite quest in Starfield? There's a couple of really good ones. I remember playing through, there's a quest called Ground Pounder that I really like, which is like, there's like some UC and some Freestar people that are like trapped in a building together. So there's a lot of combat in that one, so I just like killing spacers, which is a lot of fun. And then I really love the UC quest line. I don't want to spoil it, but it's there's some cool aliens in there that do interesting things that you don't see any other creatures in the game do. And so that mission's probably that quest line is probably my favorite.
Okay, well there you go. I still have to. Well, have any more updates come out for like Optimus?
We had an update a couple weeks ago, and we announced Steam beta. I guess I'll plug it in here. There's going to be a Steam beta next week. So if anyone has the game on Steam, you can download the latest patch before anyone else. So if there's any issues, you can tell us before we give it to everybody on Xbox and PC. So next week there should be a patch which has a bunch of like DLSS and a bunch of other fixes. Believe it's next week. Don't actually quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's next week.
Okay, well you heard it here first. So what are the most common challenges you usually encounter during game capture process, and how do you guys overcome them?
I think we mentioned it a little bit, but like dealing with variables, there's a lot that can go wrong in games, and there's a lot that you're not in control of. So capturing is just a lot of problem solving. So when you run into like something that blocks you, you try to find creative solutions to the problem. So like, for example, if a game is like really early in development, art might not be final for certain things. So like, how do you capture around that so you don't show off the things that aren't finished yet? Because again, you don't want players to see something and be like, wow, that looks terrible, or like, I don't want to use that, but it's not done yet. So we try to hide that as best as we can.
Readjust the scene, I guess.
Yeah, readjust your camera or your action to try to not show that off or just not use it.
Okay.
And then, sometimes the levels aren't finished either. So it's like you're trying to get to a specific part of a level, but the section right before it, they haven't finished it yet, or there's currently a bug. So trying to figure out how you can get around that is always really interesting to get to where you need to go. So like those are the most common challenges, is just understanding that you're working with a game that isn't finished yet. Like trailers come out before the game's done. So how do you creatively figure out those problems to make sure that you can still show off the game as it's gonna be, while dealing with the issues of like, hey, people are still working on this, like they're still tweaking it. So you just got to make do with what you got.
Well, I guess that's a pretty good segue to the next question, because like, what's the balance then between like improv and adherence to a script for predetermined animation when you're performing the game capture?
Yeah, I think it's the same as like a movie, right? Like you want to have a plan, you want to make a shot list, you want to have a script, but at the end of the day, once you hop in, like everything can change. So you might have an idea of like, oh, this shot's gonna be really cool, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna shoot these guys, and then I'm gonna use this power. It's gonna look awesome. And then you get in there and you try to do it, and you're like, oh, the gun doesn't work the way I thought it would, or this environment doesn't look as good as I thought it would on video. that ability doesn't quite have the force I wanted it to have or whatever. And so you just adjust, right? Like maybe you move people around or you go to a different location. So it's about 50-50. Sometimes shots work out exactly as you thought they would and you get it on the first try. Sometimes you just have to pivot to something completely different because, you're working within a game. It has its own rules. It sometimes doesn't do the things you want it to do. So you just work with what the game can do and go from there.
What I'm learning is you guys are I'm guessing the ones that experience bugs and sort of like things that don't work well or maybe work differently than the developers first thought, like firsthand. Like you guys, since you're testing it out for the shots, you're the first.
Yeah, I think the only people who do it more would be QA, and they have a tough job, but they see the brunt of it. But yeah, we're constantly in there playing the game before it's done, and so a lot of developers see their section of the game only in those sections, but we help to kind of give that full view of everything coming together and being like, oh, okay, so that's what it all looks like, and giving feedback as well as just creating trailers.
Because you guys developers will have I guess the way they work is probably a team's assigned to a room or a space or something like that, and that's the only space they work in. Well, you guys come in and maybe you want to traverse through two spaces or something like that in your shots. Is that sort of then how it works? And that's when you maybe find out oh, this is not working the way we thought.
Sort of, yeah. So for example, you might have a team that's dedicated to the combat system of a game. So they're just testing the combat system, but maybe they never tested the combat system in a level that someone else is making. So we go in there and now we're using the combat system in the level and we're like, oh, this isn't quite working how we thought it would. So then we talk to the developers and figure out, is this working as intended, or is this how you expected it to work? And if it's not, how can we improve on that, or how can we just show it off as cool as possible with the way it is?
Monkey asked, when does development decide when the game has enough progress to start a trailer for the game?
That's different for every game. Development teams all work differently. I've worked on games where we're working on a trailer before they're even in alpha because they're just confident in hey, these locations are pretty much done. They look really good. These weapons or these abilities are done. If you can work with these small sections of the game, you can make a trailer. Just obviously don't show the things that they're still working on or whatever.
Right, that's what we're talking about. You gotta hide,
Yeah, you kind of compartmentalize. So there are some games that do that, and then there are other games that's no, we're working on the whole game at the same time, so nothing is done until everything is done. And so for those games, they tend to wait later. And then developers have different feelings about showing their game off too early or showing it off. I think some people have come out and they're they don't want to make trailers for their game until it's time to release. And then sometimes they release a trailer and it's sorry, the game's not coming out for 2 years. So it's
Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite.
I mean, yeah, Halo Infinite. Cyberpunk had that initial trailer way before it came out. Even Starfield had a trailer a long time ago. And every developer feels differently. Some people like getting it out there and be hey, we're really excited. We're working on this thing. We want you to know about it. And some are just I'm gonna tell you the minute it drops. That's the first time you'll hear about this game.
I think releasing something small and then seeing how the community reacts is, for me, probably the best approach.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can, you have a lot of communities Battlefield. Clearly they heard a bit of the lore of the Battlefield community and adding the Rendozook, RPG jet in the trailer. That's cool. I love when game developers listen to the community. So I think
definitely.
I think definitely putting out something and then waiting a bit and then seeing how the community reacts and working with them.
But then you get games like Hi-Fi Rush where they didn't announce the game until the day it dropped and people went crazy, and Hi-Fi Rush was awesome. I don't know if you guys haven't played it yet. Really good game, rhythm action game.
Never heard of Hi-Fi Rush. What is it? What is that?
Yeah, it was made by the people who made Ghostwire Tokyo, which is really funny. And yeah, it's like a smaller game. It's smaller is relative, I guess, but it's a brand new IP, and it's like an action rhythm game. So like every move you want to try to do it to the beat. So you're always trying to stay on beat while you're like fighting enemies and stuff. And yeah, there was no marketing for that game.
Just came out.
Yeah, like one day we showed off a trailer, and we're like, by the way, the game is out right now. And
well, I guess like what is the logic behind that? Like what's
shadow dropping? Some people just like that. They're like, we want to show it to you, and yeah, just to be like, I guess, you know, part of it is like, hey, here's this really cool thing. Do you want to play it? Yeah, well, you can play it right now, instead of like showing it to someone and then they want to play it but they can't play it, and then that's sort of like,
okay,
you know, there's no expectations when you do that. Like you see the trailer and you're like, oh, I want to play it, I can play it right now. Whereas, you know, sometimes if you let people sit on something for too long, they build it up to something that it might not be.
Okay.
So you never know. I think both have their merits. And
someone had a follow-up question to Monkey's. What do you prefer working on? Finished games, or do you enjoy the limited tools when you're making a teaser?
I think too early is obviously really rough, but I love games in development. I think it's really interesting to like peek behind the curtain, so to speak, and try to work around those restrictions. Like I love solving those problems, but I can't deny that working with a game that's done, like if you're working on like DLC for a game, or if you're doing marketing for a game after the game is released, it's a lot easier. Yeah, there's more to work with. There's less that you have to hide, and like once people get their hand on the game, it's like anything goes. Like you can show whatever you want that isn't a major spoiler, because players will, day one, the game drops, within the first hour, people will know everything about the game. Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Speedrunners like jumping on games like immediately.
Yeah,
for sure.
So once the game drops, I think it opens us up to do more, which is always fun because you can be more creative.
So this next question, I guess we talked about the shot owner, which I think this would be, but so that's the person that ensures consistency in a character's movement across different scenes and gameplay scenario. Like there's only one person.
I mean, obviously it's up to everyone. Anyone who sees the footage has to, if you see something, you say it. You're like, hey, that doesn't look right, or that's a different character, or the gun is different. But almost like it's the same as with movies. Like when a cut happens, there's a lot that people don't notice or care about in between shots. So it really depends on the game and the shot. But yeah, if we have like a sequence, it's really up to us as the artist to be like, okay, I want to make sure that the character is the same, the weapons are the same, the background's the same.
I think it's more important for like more cinematic sort of shots, or like.
Yeah, definitely. Like the sequence itself, but as you're moving between sequences, I think it's less important. With games, thankfully, we have an advantage in that we can make save files. Like everything's digital, so like, you know, with Starfield in particular, every shot of the direct, we had 2 or 3 save files for it. So if we needed to go back to that same location with the same gear, we can just load up the save, and we can guarantee that like things are consistent between takes and between shots, so that if we need to go in and redo something or get a new angle for something, or try something different, we know that it's consistent.
Okay, that's pretty cool then. It's a manual checkpoint. Okay, so do you have any tips or techniques for capturing specific types of in-game moments, like action sequence or cinematic cutscenes?
Oh yeah. For action, again, I study movies a lot. Like I'm a huge like movie buff, so I'm always into choreography and stunt performers, and once you're comfortable with the game and its mechanics, you can start to like work on choreography. So like plan out a route, how you're gonna engage with enemies, what beats you want to hit. Like a lot of editing is like musically inclined, so you want to like try to do things at a certain beat. So like for example, if you're doing an FPS, You come into a room, you're like, all right, we're gonna show off combat in this room. How do we place the enemies? How do we go between one enemy to the next so that it's interesting and it's not just I'm gonna shoot down a hallway for 30 seconds and that's not interesting at all. And then how can we show off abilities in really interesting ways? Talking about Bethesda Softworks games, I think like Deathloop trailers are really fun because Deathloop has a lot of tools that work together, like Dishonored or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I think that's really fun to be like, all right, here's these 6 bad guys. What's the most interesting way that we can take these 6 people out that'll get people interested? I think for me personally, like if someone watches a shot that we did, like an action shot, and they're like, man, I can't wait to do that, or I didn't even know that was possible, then I know I did it right, and that's kind of like what you're striving to do.
That's the goal.
And then as far as like cinematic cutscenes, again, movies are the basis of everything. So like you try to think about like camera angles and how to use them in different field of view. So like if you're trying to do like a heroic shot and you're trying to make someone feel really big, then maybe you drop the FOV down and you do like a worm's eye view shot of the character looking up at them so they look really big. But then the inverse of that is like if you're doing like an environment shot, you bring the FOV out and you can see really far into the frame and you do like a nice vista pan shot. So you start to build a repertoire of like different camera moves and camera shots, and you start to figure out kind of how things work together.
What role does like the music play into like these like how do you guys think about incorporating music? Like for example, Ghost Frosty is asking in Fallout, like what makes the right choice for a part of a trailer or a part of an action shot? How do you guys come up with that?
Yeah, I think Fallout's an interesting example in that like Fallout has a vibe to it and you want to stick to that vibe, and the vibe of Fallout is usually like it's post-apocalyptic but it's fun. Like there's always like dumb things are happening, like interesting wacky things are happening, and so you want to play into that of like it's post-apocalyptic, it's gritty, it's dark, but also like here's this old-timey music and you're punching a guy with like a robotic piston and they turn into nothing like mulch, right? Like you try to balance that with the music. I mean, editing in general is very musically inclined. Changing a song in an edit can completely change the vibe even if the footage hasn't changed. So you want to be very mindful of that. Like if you're doing an action sequence, if you have music that's like really really fast and high paced and like heart pumping, then that'll just make the action feel even cooler.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just playing like, I don't know, if you just play like background music,
yeah,
then it's like the footage isn't gonna seem as exciting.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And then we have 2 more questions here, guys, before we roll into specific Starfield stuff. So we're almost done with what it is to be a game capture artist. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm sure as hell learning a lot more about this process. Like it's a lot more intricate and detailed than I thought it would be, TBH. Which is cool because you guys like dip your toes in every pond sort of thing, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. I love, like I said, I love seeing games in development. So I think this job lets me see like, oh man, like this is how they're working on it. And then every time you get into the game, it's like it gets better day after day, like as it's being developed, and like you just watch it grow into like something new. It's really cool.
So how do you guys handle post-processing and editing of the captured footage, including color correction, audio enhancement, adding overlays or effects? Like,
usually editorial's in charge of a lot of that stuff, so like post-processing, editing, of course. But some capture artists do edit as well. So like I mostly work in Premiere, so I learned a lot through just trial and error, just making videos, making my own demo reel, like working on like social media assets and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I learned how to do it. You just want to make sure your video is cohesive as a whole and everything. Also, depending on what the asset is for, more people might be involved. So like if we're working on something for Twitter, then the editor will just audio mix themselves. But if we're doing like a big presentation or it's like the world premiere trailer, maybe we'll get an audio house to come in and they'll do their own audio enhancements. And that's like crazy levels of technical mastery that I have no idea how to do. But all these people and all their talent kind of comes together for those bigger moments, and that's how you get like really crazy trailers.
Okay, that's cool. So can you discuss what the post-processing and editing phase in game capture, how it fits into the overall game development pipeline?
Let's see.
Not specific to Bethesda.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in capture, there isn't really much post-processing. Our goal is really to, unless we really have to, we want to play the game and show it off as one-to-one as it can be when you get your hands on it. Sometimes we might cheat to get certain shots. So like, if we're trying to get a shot, like we're running through a group of people and they're shooting at us and it's part of the story, we might turn on like God mode or something so we don't die in the middle of it, or to get rid of like certain screen effects or get rid of the HUD, stuff like that. But yeah, we try not to post-process our games too much, because then there's a bit of a disconnect when you're like, you show someone the game and it's post-processed and then they go to play it and you're like, well, that's not what I saw, like that's not what I expected. So yeah, we do our best to like not mess with the game too much. Like we might tweak some jobs here and there to make our jobs easier and more efficient, but not to the point of like, I'm just gonna be a god and I'm gonna mow these people down and you can't do anything about it, because then that's not fun.
100%, I feel that. Okay, but I think we're that was the last question then, to sort of so you guys know what Rick does and in general what a game capture artist does in game development. So we can now roll into what your role was in the development of Starfield and what you did with them and stuff like that. But before that, we'll do the second GPU giveaway. Same as before, here's round 2. You guys got a chance to redeem yourselves. Same rules as before. Until I say go, don't type anything. So when I say go, you guys can start guessing. But I'll describe a game.
This one's easier.
I think this one's a lot easier, probably. I think it's a lot easier. No, you can't type yet. Henry Cavill. Monkey just typed Henry Cavill random. That's not a game, but nice try. Okay, so in this classic video game, players take on the role of a fearless orange marsupial who finds themselves in a series of colorful and challenging worlds. The game is all about running, jumping, and spinning through inventive levels filled with wacky and eccentric foes. It's a platforming adventure where players must collect various items and outsmart enemies to progress. The game's distinctive blend of humor and quirky characters has made it a cherished and enduring part of the gaming world. Go! There you go, easy.
You were trigger happy.
Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, you know what? Banjo-Kazooie was a good, but Ghosty, you got
it. Not orange.
He's brown. He's brown. Like the bird is orange.
Yeah, the bird is orange.
He does spin too.
Kazooie is orange.
Yeah. But all right, Ghost, DM me on Discord. Everybody else, last try. You'll have one more try. We'll have the last giveaway at the end. Bird is the word. Rigged, very rigged. Sorry, I do. I rig every single giveaway. All right,
we're here first.
So let's get started then with like what your role was during the development of Starfield. What was it?
So I joined Starfield about a year and a half ago. So right before the first gameplay reveal that we did for, I want to call it E3, but it wasn't E3. It was around E3 time, so we just called it E3. But my role was so I'm game capture artist for Bethesda Game Studios. I'm a team of 1, but I work with our creative services team, so our editors and our brand team. So my initial role was review the footage that they already had, find out ways to improve it, and then find out kind of how we wanted to show the game off and how we wanted to show gameplay and cinematic shots, and kind of like what the blend of that would be. So like initially my role was to spruce up the gameplay and like come up with new choreography and try to show off the weapons and the sliding and the jetpack and all the stuff and like how that comes together. After that and moving on to like Starfield Direct, it was just capture in general, and working together to create in-game cinematics, in-game screenshots and gameplay moments, and yeah, just capture in general.
Okay. And
And playtesting. Did a lot of playtesting.
I'm guessing that was quite fun.
Oh yeah.
Just knowing that you're playing a really cool game that everybody else wants to play before anybody else gets to touch it, I would be ecstatic.
Always.
But in game development, it often involves challenges. What was the most unusual or unexpected obstacles when involving a specific shot or choreography that you face while working on Starfield?
Yeah, I think, for Starfield specifically, it's unique in that it's such a large game. So like if we want to show something off, we have to find it first, which can take a long time. So like that was a big challenge, is like, as a capture artist, usually what happens is you come into a project and they're like, hey, we want to make a trailer, take some time to learn the game. And normally games, you can learn all the mechanics and most of the locations pretty quickly. But with Starfield, there's so many locations and creatures and characters and weapons and
Right, it's a big
gear. It's huge. And so, we'd go in and we'd be like, all right, I know like 30 different planets, so I have a good idea. And then someone will show me something and I'll be like, I didn't know that that could look that way, or that quest existed. I think it was a week before launch, I found out about a whole new quest line that took place in Neon that I didn't even know existed until like then, just because there's so much. So that was definitely a challenge. As far as unusual obstacles, a lot of it was like, in development things change, numbers are tweaked, power levels are adjusted to what would be the most fun. I remember very early on, Vasco was a killer. He was very strong. And so we were trying to do shots where we were fighting and Vasco was fighting with us to show off companions. And like he would mow people down. Like I would hit record and I would blink and everyone was dead in the room. So I had to like find the ways to get him to stop killing people so quickly, and just like keep him busy doing other things,
right.
So that I could kill people, because I'm not a chump. I gotta be the one to kill them. Similarly, for that first E3 video that we did, there's a shot where we're fighting on Victera and we're fighting pirates with the miners from the beginning of the game. And there's a character called Lynn, and at one point in development, someone changed her weapon from a pistol to a grenade launcher for some reason. So we came in one day and we were trying to get the shot, and there's just like a million explosions happening all at once. So we're trying to figure out like why she's doing this.
Where's it coming from?
Yeah, and like the door opens to the ship and the pirates come out and they just exploded, and I had no idea who was doing this or why. So that was an interesting day for sure.
So I guess like there's so much change going on like constantly in the game that it's hard to convey it to all the teams, like sort of what's going on sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, games are changing all the time. Sometimes decisions are changed. So like, you might be capturing a section and then you have to go back and like, oh, I need to redo this shot. And then you find out, oh, that scenario doesn't exist that same way anymore. Like that enemy might not exist anymore, or the level was cut for some reason. Maybe it just wasn't fun, or they just didn't want to keep it or whatever. So that's where like pivoting quickly really it comes in handy. You just gotta, all right, that doesn't work anymore. What does work, and how do we keep going?
So I guess do you normally have a plan B always? Like you go into a shot and like just in case, or typically you don't have to worry about that, and you only come up with a plan B if you need a plan B.
It's hard to come up with a plan B beforehand, because if something changes, you're not gonna know what's gonna change until it's done. So like sometimes you might have a plan B of like, well, if that doesn't work, I have another idea. But you always got to keep yourself open to new ideas, instead of being like, oh, that didn't work, so I guess I won't do it. Like, no, you gotta figure something out. Something has to go in there.
Keep you on your toes type. Okay.
Definitely.
So, and of course, collaboration is essential in game development. So can you share any insights on how your team collaborates and communicates to bring what the gameplay devs want to express through the game capture team?
Yeah, so I think Bethesda's been really great in that like everyone on all the different teams is very vocal and like very like works together very well. So the entire time that we're creating something, we're talking to all the different teams and be like, hey, you're working on ships. Do you have any cool ship ideas, or do you have anything that you want to show off that's really cool? And they're teaching us stuff all the time about the game and different things that you can do. So it's pretty much constant that like we're always talking to all the different teams, and they're always looking at our trailers as we're working on them, so that if there's something that they like or they don't like, they can give us feedback on it, so that we can kind of action on that and make sure that again, we're trying to show off their hard work and like what they've been working on.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they're happy with how it looks and that it reflects the work that they've been putting in.
I guess this is just for my curiosity, but is there a team of that you like or prefer to work with, just because maybe they're not more collaborative, or just you just enjoy working with them more and that side of the development a little bit better?
It's hard to say. I work with a lot of individuals per se, not usually like teams. Obviously I love the animation team a lot because,
Right.
Animation is very visual. So we work with them a lot to be like, hey, how do we access this animation? Like, how do we show that off? Because it looks really cool and they did a really good job. So, we want to put that in a shot or find out where that is in the game. So talk to them a lot. But I don't know. Everyone's really cool. Like, I like the ships team a lot because they're always building fun new ships, and I think the ship builder in Starfield is really cool. So
Ships team. So there's literally a team just specific on building all the ships and how.
yeah, I think
Kind of cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah, in the direct we have the lead ship designer is on there. So yeah, we have a ships team, we have a weapons team, quest team. There is on a lot of our projects. And it's not just for us, it's a lot of RPGs have this. There's a lore master, like that's their title, is lore master.
Lore.
And their whole job is to make sure that everything is like lore accurate. Yeah. So like if anyone has any questions as to like, hey, this character that we're working with, like what do they know about this? They're the person that would like have all that information. So
Okay.
I want to put that on a resume someday. It's like lore master.
Lore master.
Pretty dope.
You're already a DM, so it's only natural. It's your progression. So and speaking of Starfield Direct, that was one of the biggest gaming events of the year. What was it like working on that project? Because you
That was crazy.
and we'll show
Yeah.
a snippet of Rick here. He pops up in it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, my 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, I'm in one shot of the direct.
Actually, let's see.
Crazy.
Before we talk, let's see real quick. I think I have it pulled up here.
Yeah, while you pull it up, I mean, I'll just say it was definitely crazy. Biggest project I've ever worked on. I mean, Starfield Direct was like 45 minutes of footage, which,
Yeah.
to put it into perspective, the average trailer for a video game is about 90 seconds. And in those 90 seconds, there's title cards, there's motion graphics, there's all kinds of stuff. And
There you
a
are.
trailer.
Sorry, I just found it. There you are. That's Rick.
So, the average trailer takes, I would say, a little bit over a month to make. And so imagine 45 minutes instead of 90 seconds. So that was a lot of footage to go through and create. And then it was really cool working with a official team that came in to record all the devs and talk to the devs. And we worked a lot with the devs of whatever they were talking about, that's what we were going to show. So whatever they were passionate about, if they're like, oh, I really love building, in Starfield Direct, at one point they talk about I love building crazy ships like a giant robot. So we built the giant robot because why not? So stuff like that was really interesting, and it was very collaborative and long. It was very long.
I mean, I'm sure.
Very difficult.
But
Because our goal was to show every or most mechanics in the game, which again is a lot. And so it was very interesting to see how can we show every single mechanic in this game in an entertaining way, and make sure that people don't get bored watching 45 minutes.
And I watched all of it too. And I'm like a big documentary type person. Like I really enjoy watching like the how were things made sort of thing. And I think you guys did a really great job in sort of like also with the music. Like, you know, the music.
Oh, the music's so good.
Music was a big part of it. While everything was playing, I was always engaged, and it's just very interesting seeing like exactly how a mechanic was created, or the different teams that were working on it, and things you guys encountered. So definitely a different experience in terms of a trailer, you know, for a game, which I enjoyed. I would love to see something like that for most of future games. Like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
enjoyable content for a game that I want to play. Like 100% something that I feel like is could become a standard, or do you think should become a standard for future?
I think we definitely, yeah, it's a ton of work. I think we definitely changed how people do presentations, like game presentations, because, you know, we went really in depth in our game, and that's something that isn't really done too often. Like, we were very confident in what we wanted to show and how much we wanted to show, and I think our biggest thing was we wanted to show the people who worked on this game. So like all those developers that we interviewed, we wanted to kind of put the spotlight on them, because they're the ones working hard every day to like make all of this stuff, and it's not easy, especially like there's so many mechanics. Trying to bring it all together in one game and making sure it all works together is like monumental. So
yeah,
it's really cool.
There's so many perks in that game too, like crazy. Like when
all the skills. It's insane.
When I was like creating my character, I spent, I think, it was like a 2 hours and a half stream, and I think like an hour and a half of that stream was me just trying to read like what these perks do, and like me trying to Google like what is even this, what am I gonna do with this. Like, it was just very extensive list of perks, and I was just trying to figure out what even to do.
Yeah, and then you have like the traits as well. I remember we fought really hard to get the unwanted hero, so the adoring fan in the video, because I really love him. He's my favorite trait, so I always take him. So I was very happy to put him in.
Well, what's the one with the you love your family one? What's that one called again? The family man.
Oh, the one where your parents are still alive.
They visit once, something like that.
Yeah, they have an apartment in New Atlantis, and then sometimes they'll show up at the lodge, and they'll be there to like talk to you, and they give you gifts and stuff, which is really cool. So
yeah,
very fun.
Very, very like, I guess creative perks. Like, I had not seen those type of perks before. So what was how difficult was it trying to get all that footage for a presentation like this, and how long were you working on it?
Pre-production started for that I want to say November of the year before. So yeah, we were working on it for like six months or something crazy like that.
Damn, okay.
And yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of changing ideas, because with a presentation that big, you have to remember like your first idea might not be the best idea. So like you work on a first draft that's 45 minutes long, and then from there you realize, okay, I think our first version was like an hour long, and we were like, okay, maybe we should cut this down a little bit. And you know, initially I think we wanted to like show off like a quest, and then the quest was going to show every mechanic in the game. But that became really tedious, of just like watching me like walk around and talk to people, and then get into a gunship fight, and then get out of the ship. Whereas I think people were just more interested in like as much information as they could get their hands on at that point. So yeah, it was a lot of ideas, coming up with new ideas, capturing the game, trying to show as much variety as possible with a game that big and 45 minutes.
I guess, how'd you guys determine that? Like, did you have a group of testers that was kind of like giving you feedback on it, or was it just a team and you guys decided on like what is probably?
Yeah, I mean, the idea was ours initially, where we were like, well, we want to show off all these mechanics. How are we going to organize it? And then from there, how do we explain everything? And then once we had a cut put together, We were just showing it off to the team and being like, hey, how does this feel? Was anything confusing? Like, did you understand everything? Was it entertaining? And then just based on feedback, we would just keep going over it again and again to try and just refine it as much as we could.
Okay. And then what would you be your favorite part of the direct?
Oh man. I really loved the combat montage at the end where we teased the Starborn ability. That was a lot of fun, really high pace. There's a lot of choreography in there, so that's really cool. And then
Did you get some say on the choreography there?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fighting in there that we did. I put together a lot of the locations and stuff and how we were gonna lay out enemies, and then from there I think there were 3 of us that were capturing or 4 of us that were capturing for that, and so just kind of working together to see who can get the coolest stuff and then just putting it all together into a big montage. I also really love the spaceship section, the shipbuilder, and like building the giant robot ship and the platypus ship. Like that was a lot of fun. So those 2 are probably my top spots.
Top spots, okay. And what are the coolest things about working in a studio like Bethesda? Like, in your opinion, what makes them stand out the way they have and continue to do so throughout the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows what a BGS game feels like. Like, everyone remembers playing like Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout for the first time, or like Fallout 3 or whatever. I think there's something unique about their games and about how permanent things are, I guess. Like, the creation engine is built on like object permanence. So like you drop an item and you travel somewhere else and then you come back and that item will always still be there. So there's something interesting about like what you can do with that and like the vibe of those games. I mean, Skyrim has lived as long as it has for a reason, right? And so I think like
have it in VR. Like I still,
dude, I love Skyrim VR. It's so good.
It hasn't died. It's been so long. Skyrim will always.
I think my favorite thing is just they put a lot into their games, and there's a lot of passion in this studio, and it's still relatively small. For as big as they are, I think compared to other studios, BGS itself is very small, and so I've only been here a year and a half, but I feel like I know a lot of people already, and it's a lot easier to talk to the different teams and to get answers and to like give feedback or just like be like, hey, I think this would be really cool, and then they'll do it. Or
like a very cohesive unit, sort of like let's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of feedback and a lot of discussions, and I think it's really nice. It feels pretty tight-knit, even for as much as the team has grown. It still feels small, which I think is special.
Do you guys have like an in-house orchestra, sort of, or sort of like that, or like a someone specific for music design?
Well, I mean, so we have audio engineers and stuff, but we don't have like an orchestra or whatever. But yeah, we
music. How you guys have come up with iconic sound like Skyrim?
Well, our like go-to person is Mr. Enon Zur. So he's done all the music for our games. So he's kind of like a linchpin in the way our music sounds. So yeah, he's like the constant for our games in terms of audio.
What's his name again?
Enon Zur.
Enon Zur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great musician. He's super nice, and for the direct, there's a couple of custom music pieces that we needed, and he was just cranking them out. Like, he's super great, super talented.
Okay, that's awesome. So you guys have like a guy that like can instill your vision in your.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what advice would you have for someone looking to start a career as a game capture artist, including tips for building an audience or creating engaging content?
Yeah, I love this question. If you want to get into game capture, I would say just start capturing. a lot of games nowadays have a photo mode. So going in and messing around with photo mode and taking really nice photos and just pretending to be like an actual photographer for a bit is really good, and building a portfolio that way. There's a lot of great digital photography people on Twitter. So you can see a lot of like incredible shots. Like there's a lot of games now that when you take a good picture, it can feel like it's not a game anymore, like it's realistic, which is crazy. And just if you have an idea, like make it a thing. Like if you have an idea for like, hey, I think this would be a cool video to make for this game that I like, just go out and start making it. Start working with creating footage, and you can get together with your friends and like make a machinima. That's essentially capture. And once you start building up that repertoire and making videos and making screenshots, you can start like applying. There's a lot of capture artist communities. We have a Discord, Game Capture Society, where you can go and talk to other. Yeah, we've got a Discord. People share screenshots there. People share job opportunities, general just tips. There's a lot of cool discussions that happen there, and it's just really fun. So if this is something that you're interested in, just start doing it, really. I think photo mode is the easiest way to start, because that way you get that cinematic eye, and you can start to see like what looks good, what doesn't, and then transition that to movement with video, and you're good to go.
Just start building the resume early then.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rick, for this. I mean, I certainly have learned a shit ton throughout this conversation with you. And then we want to talk a little bit too about like, your involvement in development of Battlefield 2042. And what was that like for you, and then what did you do for them?
Yeah, so we were there early. I mentioned briefly, so yeah, DICE has a media team, and they're the ones who usually do all their trailers, but we took over game capture for them for 2042 and like towards the end of Battlefield 5, and that was incredible. One of the hardest things is just Battlefield is such a large game, so we had a lot of people involved. We had a lot of people come in to do these large scale combat shots, so creating choreography for like 20 to 30, 40 people is, super tough, but like awesome. It almost feels like playing an RTS game, right? You're like telling your units where to go and then what to do, and you're kind of overviewing the battlefield, and then you get into position and you say action, and then there's explosions happening everywhere and tanks are rolling out. So super fun. A lot of high energy, like high action gameplay that was skill intensive, like having to like aim well. Fun fact, so we did some videos for the different operators early on. Specialists is what they're called for Battlefield, actually. And I did the first video, and we got a bunch of comments saying that like we were using aimbot, so I was like, I guess I'll do worse. So I aimed worse on the next one and like missed more shots on purpose. And then people were just telling me that I'm the worst player to ever exist. So
you got accused for aimbot? No way.
Yeah, because there's a shot where I'm on the zip line and I kill a guy on the zip line, jump off the zip line, glide, and then snap to the guy's head on the top. He's like on a cliff, and I kill him, and then I kill the guy next to him. It was like some of the cleanest work I've ever done, and then people were saying I was cheating.
Simply skill issue. You should have replied.
Yeah, it was a skill issue.
Wait, that's one of the things you sent me here, right?
I don't know if it's one of the ones I sent you, but it was a video that we put out pretty early on.
Let's see.
But it was really fun.
Sorry, I was gonna say the 0 hour gameplay. Is that the?
That's one of them. I think that's the last trailer I worked on with them. A lot of fun. You'll see my gamer tag in there a lot, actually, in the HUD, in your little squad. But as far as working on the development of Battlefield, their engine is really fun. I worked on cinematics a lot with them. I learned a ton about how the game works and how their cinematic pipeline works.
Yeah.
And that just helped me out through and through. So it was really cool.
And for this 0-hour gameplay when they're jumping off the cliff, oh, like there you are, scripted persona. You're at the front.
I'm leading.
You're leading the charge. You're leading the charge
Yeah.
of the cliff right there.
So like with games like Battlefield, you can see like, you know, every person is a real person, just like in the actual game. So it's a lot of like teamwork and working together to try and get these like huge moments where you have all these players and people who are really good at flying helicopters and driving tanks and doing all kinds of crazy maneuvers.
Wait, I recognize some of these gamer tags. Hatless Cougar, Technical. Hold on a minute. That's really cool.
Yeah, man.
So these shots with the like the helicopter and like trying to shoot it down, like oh, you're the helicopter now.
I flew the helicopter a lot.
Wait, was that you? Was that you going into the tunnel?
Yeah, so this is me going through the tunnel. So
damn, I can't even keep that bird straight when I'm like playing.
We ran that shot a couple times. I also did this shot here where I guide the rocket through the windows here. It's really fun.
You know what's crazy? I don't even really realize like the gamer tags are the same or that sort of thing when I'm watching these trailers. Maybe I just don't pay attention to like a lot of finer details as much as I would believe I do. But this whole clip scene here is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you know, it's really fun. Like working on Battlefield is great because like you create a lot of these set piece moments and like that's what Battlefield trailers are known for. So it's a lot of like, oh, you know what would be really sick? Like what if we guide the rocket around the building and through the flares and like do all these crazy like snipes and stuff.
That was absolutely very sick.
Yeah, giving props to like some other teams like Apex. If you watch their trailers, they have some really incredible players working on those and they do some crazy stuff. Hey, yeah, this was us. Like that was an actual clip that took forever to get.
Well, this
hooking onto the jet with the grappling hook and then using the crossbow to blow it up. Harder than it looks. So props for that. I die. That's me. I had an easy job. I get blown up at the beginning. But yeah.
What about this one here? The first look, the breakaway and discarded maps.
Oh yeah. So you can see. So whoever the camera is the shot owner for a lot of these shots. So you can see like I think this first map was a good friend of mine. And you can see like that's, you know, seems pretty easy, like just killing two guys, but having to coordinate everyone else. I think this is me, so my idea is just like, smashing into the glass, but continuing to go through combat.
I mean, the dropping in with the riot shield is pretty cool there.
Yeah, right. And then I think breakaway, I'm in this one too, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Where?
Is that you?
It's been a while. No, I think I'm on the squad somewhere. I forgot what I was doing for these shots, but yeah, so it's a lot of like player skill for these multiplayer shots, which is always really fun to try and refine and just get better and get good, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, this must be difficult. I mean, I see what you mean now. Like, this must be difficult to like coordinate all these players, like this, knowing where you gotta stand, what you gotta do, where you gotta go.
And then timing, like you know, helicopter coming in at the right time and shooting someone at the right time. So it's a lot of fun.
And then the last one is the hazard zone.
Yeah, which is this one was cool. It's a lot of cinematic work that we did for this. So like the DICE Media team working together with us, and just trying to make a story out of this.
For this shot right here, was it? How'd you guys? What is this? Was this animated? Like this missiles coming?
So it's all in engine. It is like a cinematic, in the sense of like we're placing where these satellites are falling, but that's what it looks like in the game when they fall. We're just controlling like how many are falling and where. And then obviously this is all custom animations, but like that's what the map looks like in the game. That's what the character models look like in the game, and the weapons and the sound effects and everything. So it's a nice combination of cinematics, and then I think the end of this trailer is all just straight up gameplay footage. Oh, this animation is like one of my favorites here.
Yeah, those wingsuit is great.
Yeah,
great.
Get collateraled and then Damn.
There you
So
are
good.
again.
What was that shot?
I did not realize how much you were in these trailers.
Yeah, I'm there all the time. That's me too, right there, shooting my little handgun, doing nothing. So,
Was one of these videos the one where people commented you had an aimbot?
no, it was the specialist videos. I think it was I forgot the name of the specialist now, but I remember I had the AK and I was on this map, but I don't remember the specifics that at this point.
Very, very dope though.
But yeah, really love Battlefield 2042. It was a lot of fun to work with so many people. Because normally when you do capture, you're not working. You might be capturing. If it's a single player game, you're capturing by yourself. If it's a multiplayer game, it's like 3 to 6 people. Battlefield was nice. It was like unique in that it was like 12 to 20 people working together, which is like super hectic but super fun.
DJ Jerry on Chain, thank you so much for all those gifted subs yet again. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Santa. Thank you, Santa. Appreciate it very much. And now we'll get down to like the last 2 questions here, but what advice do you have for aspiring game developers looking to break into the industry?
Yeah, so if you're just trying to get into the industry, like not capture specific, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of doing things on your own time. So like there's a lot of dedication and passion and stuff. But I would say if you know what it is that you want to do or try to get into, there's a ton of resources online. And there's a lot of free game engines that are very extensive, and you could probably make a full game with them. So Unreal Engine, Unity, they're free. They're complete products. You can get in there and you can start learning now. And just kind of keep at it. It's really difficult. It's a lot of cooperation. It's a lot of trial and error, but there's 1,000,001 tutorials now on YouTube that I think this is the best time to be like an indie developer, and just start getting into the industry, because there are so many resources and so many people willing to help you out, and just come up with an idea and start putting it together, and then whenever you run into a roadblock, get help and just keep going.
That's great advice. Thank you so much. And for you specifically, what do you think has been the most important thing for you to get you to where you are now?
I think it's always just kind of been about going above and beyond. So like early on in being capture artist, I would do the shots that I had to do, but then it was like, all right, how can I make this even better than what they wanted? Or like, how can I improve our workflow or make new tools? Or just sometimes I would just be like, all right, I have the game engine. I have the game open to me, which is not something people usually get access to. How can I like learn how this works and is put together, and then use that knowledge to make capture better? So like, for example, on Battlefield, I learned a lot about how that hazard zone mode works, and I was able to use that information to like create a custom version of hazard zone that was just for capture, so I could like on demand make the satellites fall for the shot where we wanted them to. And that was something that nobody knew how to do until we took the time just to like be like, I wonder if I can figure it out, right? Like if I can figure out how that works. So just always wanting to solve problems, and just like everything's like a puzzle. I think that's helped me out a lot, and it keeps it fun. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely agree. And then we'll end here with a couple of fun questions. Give me your all-time favorite game and why.
Oh, I've always said my favorite game is BioShock. Why is because I think that game came at the right time for me. I think the setting, the art direction, the story. I think that's the only game where I remember buying it with a friend. We put it in the Xbox 360. It was like 8 o'clock, and we just stayed up all night until like 6 in the morning, just playing the game from beginning to end, because I just like couldn't put it down.
In one go?
Awesome. In one go, yeah. I beat BioShock 1 the first time in one play session, because I just wanted to keep going. Like the art direction, the combat, the story, like the twist at the end was just super famous now. Like that,
Yeah,
I don't know, blew me away. It was really great.
If only I could go back to those times. 100% feel that. Just sit there. Well, that's
for the first time.
That's
again.
me. That's me right now with what we were talking about Spider-Man 2. Every time I sit down to play Spider-Man 2 and I don't get off, or I say I'm gonna play for like an hour and it ends up being like 3-4.
Yes. That's been me with Spider-Man. Yesterday I went to go play Spider-Man 2 and then I like blinked and it was like 2 a.m. and I was like,
worth it. Worth it.
Yeah, I'm here all day. It was great though.
And then we'll get to the Q&A now, Ghost. So if anybody has any questions, and then after the Q&A, we'll do the last giveaway, and then that'll be it. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time to drop it for Rick. Ghost Frost said, when did you realize Bethesda was the right company?
Yeah, so, I was looking, I wanted a new position, I wanted to branch out, and I saw that, BGS was looking for a capture artist, and I realized then that I have a lot of fond memories with Bethesda games, like, going back to playing Oblivion for the first time, and Fallout 3 for the first time. I think all of their games have given me, like, some, like, core memories, so to speak, and I wanted to be a part of that. And so that's what I realized, like, I think if I'm gonna be somewhere, I want to be somewhere where the games make me happy and where I'm happy playing them, instead of being at another studio where, like, if I don't care about the game, then, like, why would I want to come in every day and capture for them? So I think that was it for me when I like looked back and realized, I think I've enjoyed everything that they've put out so far, to, like, to a degree at least, and I want to be a part of that and giving those same kinds of experiences to other people.
I mean, honestly, I can't imagine a bigger flex of, like, loving a video game studio, and then ending up working for them longer down the line. Like, I feel like that's definitely
the dream.
That's a dream. That's a good sense of accomplishment too, being where you are now. So that's fantastic. Someone asked, what are the parameters that usually are given on a project? Are you working under a director and mostly executing shots for somebody else, or is it more collaborative and you have some creative control?
Yeah, so most games have an art director, and we usually talk to them in terms of, like, how they want to show off the game and visually and stuff like that. But generally it starts off as, like, there's a prompt. So for example, it's like, hey, we want a gameplay trailer, we want to show off these parts of the game, and then it's up to us to put the trailer together. So that's where we come up with a shot list. So for example, like, I did Knockout City for EA, and so they'd be like, hey, we're doing season 1 trailer, we want to show off these items and this new level, and it's up to us to be like, all right, how do we show it off, what's the story that we're trying to tell, and then be like, all right, here's our establishing shot, then we're going to go into motion graphics, then we're going to do these shots, then we're going to go into gameplay, and then we get that reviewed by brand or the art director, and if they like the idea, if they think it sounds cool, then we start capturing and collaborating from there on. So, like, we'll show them stuff. If it works, cool. If it doesn't work, how can we work together to make it as interesting as possible? So that's sort of the general workflow for most of our projects.
Okay, cool. And then I think the rest of the questions are I think a bit trolly. So no to those last two, I believe. Can you get a cameo in the next Elder Scrolls? That'd be great, but no. I'm not even that huge of a fan of the latest Elder Scrolls, so I don't even know if I would want it.
Yeah, the latest Elder Scrolls is technically Skyrim. Everybody loves Skyrim.
Technically, you're correct. Actually, yeah. But if you guys have no more questions for Rick here, we can roll in. We did a couple of questions anyways mid through, so yeah, we could probably end it off here and do the last Rick Feet OnlyFans. Oh, all right. Now we're heading into odd territory now. Let's just go for the giveaway. with Eugenio collab. All right. So my mod ban this guy, please. Wait, this is my mod. Damn. All right. So we'll do the last giveaway for the GPU now. Same rules as before. Wait for me to say go, and you guys guess the game. All right. I think this was actually also pretty easy. Maybe it might be a little vague. There is an anime that's similar to this. That's the only hint I will give. All right. You guys ready? So these games are set in a modern or near future urban environment and typically revolve around a group of young individuals who develop supernatural abilities tied to their inner psyche. Central to the gameplay is the balance between social simulation and turn-based combat. Players must manage the daily lives of the main characters, building relationships, making choices that impact the story, character development, and available abilities. The game explores themes of identity, personal growth, and power of human connections. They are known for their intriguing narratives, memorable characters, and distinctive blend of traditional and contemporary Japanese culture. And go. Sword Art Online? No. Definitely not Sword Art. Dead Walker said Persona. It is Persona. You are correct. Congratulations. So,
Congratulations.
DM me on Discord. There you go. It was Persona. Just Persona in general. You got it. I'm sorry. Skill issue. But all right. DM me on Discord so I can remember. And thank you guys. And thank you, Rick, for being here and, teaching us what it's like to be you and how you got here. Teaching everybody what a game capture artist is. Because, again, I definitely didn't know this was such a big role in game development. I see the importance of it now, and it's just cool to see how much of game development you're involved in. It's not you're not like in a little section. You're actually collaborating with all these different peoples in game development. So I'm sure you're learning a bunch of skills that down the line will serve you. So
yeah, always happy to talk about it. And as I mentioned, if anyone's interested, there's Game Capture Society on Discord. You can ask questions there if you're interested in doing this kind of stuff. So, see you there.
Ghost Frost said, "Thank you for helping us learn an insight of your career, teaching us Thank you for teaching us caveman some culture." All right, well, awesome. Thank you, Rick. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll have you again here. Who knows? Or you end up doing some more for Bethesda and you got some cool stories. We'll have you on again.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you.
All right,
thank you guys for coming. I'll catch you guys on the next stream.